Alright, now I want to talk about a classic. You already know what time it is. Die Hard. It's a Christmas movie. It happened in a Christmas time setting. It's a Christmas movie. So basically, you got this cop by the name of John McClain. He's like a New York cop, but he's going to California. Now, why is he going to California? To go meet his wife, Holly McClain, but she's going by Holly Gennaro. Now, the thing is, apparently, she got this job in California, and she's been working there for like 6 months. She works at this place called the Nakatomi Building. Now, basically, John's down here so he can celebrate Christmas with his wife and his 2 kids. But in this Nakatomi Building, they're having like this party for all the people that work there and whatnot. Now, this party happens to be on the 30th floor. I'll explain why that's important. So she works for this guy by the name of Tanaka, and she's pretty much like second in command. This guy by the name of Ellis is somebody that she works with too. This guy's kind of like a snob, and he actually kind of wants to get with her. But he's slick with his methods. John gets taken there in his limo by this dude by the name of Arguai. Apparently, the couple's been having problems. He's really supposed to be staying out there with like a chief detective or whatever like that, but considering whatever happens, she'll be able to take him back and he can spend time with his family. So what Uruguay's supposed to do, he's saying, look, man, I'll stay here if you need me. I'm saying if you need to go to the house, if you need to go anywhere, just tell me and let me know. And he's basically going to wait for him in the garage parking lot. So John and Holly get to talking one-on-one. They kind of have a little bit of an argument. He's probably pissed off in the back of his mind because she took the job so far away from New York. Now, while all this going on, this big-ass truck is like heading towards the building. This big truck parks towards the parking garage. They didn't see Uruguay in the process. They didn't care about the limo. Out of the truck come a bunch of these German dudes led by this dude by the name of Hans Gruber. He's the leader of the gang. Now they got all these German dudes and they got this one particular black guy. And you think to yourself, why is this black guy with the group? Because he's a technological genius with them, you know what I'm saying? Basically doing things on computers. So they basically come in there, they take over the building, they got the hostages. They got one of their guys manning the front entrance, pretending to be like the overseer of the building and whatnot. Now as these guys are taking over, you got a couple of guys that are bringing in like rocket launchers and shit. You're like, what the fuck do they need that for? A couple of them got other bags and whatnot, but they onto the teeth with the guns. So they pretty much captured everybody, but John was in another room. He found a way to escape, and he's been going up and down the floors. So Hans Gruber wants to talk to the head man, basically Tanaka. So they get him in his room, and you're thinking to yourselves, what do they want from him? Now, they need a certain code from him. Now, what is this code for? Basically, this code is for a thing to unlock 7 locks. Now, what's behind these 7 locks? A bunch of bonds that add up to $640 million. Now, Tanaka doesn't want to give him the code, and he's thinking to himself, even if I do give you the code, they change the codes like every day, every 6 hours or something like that. So he's thinking to himself, it wouldn't be no good. And then he basically tells him, like, I don't even know the code. So he's basically no use to them. Hans shoots this nigga, done deal, dead as shit. Now, the black guy with them named Theo, he's still, he's going to be able to break out at least 6 of the locks. But he said the 7th lock might be a problem. The rest of his boys heard John rumbling around or whatever like that, so they try to check everything, but they don't see nothing. So John's on the 30th floor, and he gets this idea to pull a fire alarm. Now, the fire alarm in this building will send out a signal to police to come, you know what I'm saying? But they alert the guy at the front desk, and he dispatches the police, and the police will turn it back around. So he's like, damn, this plan fucked up. And on top of that, they find the signal and send the guy to the 31st floor. John ends up done dealing this guy. He's dead as shit. Now, the thing about that is, the guy is actually Carl's brother. Now, who's Carl? Carl is Hans Rupert's right-hand man. So he wants to kill this nigga, but bottom line, this shit is personal now. So when John killed this guy, he got himself a machine gun, got himself a walkie-talkie in the wallet, and he could figure it was a fake ID or something like that. So basically, he knows these random dudes are German. And I guess because of his police work, he knows how these people get down, or what type of people get down, you know what I'm saying? Now he's trying to talk to the walkie-talkie to try to get a signal for help. This is after he gets to the rooftop. On the rooftop, he calls a dispatch for 911, but they ain't paying him no attention. They think it's a joke. Until a couple of them niggas get on the roof, you hear shots fired and whatnot. So they finally go to send a dispatch car, right? Now, before all this, John tried to make a call to Uruguay, but the thing is, they cut the wires in the building. So Uruguay's still just down in the garage, not knowing what the fuck is happening, but he's just chilling there. So Hans knows this is going to take a while, because Theo tells him it's going to take about 2.5 hours to break at least 6 of the locks. Now, how they going to break the 7th lock, I'll explain that in a minute. Never mind, I can tell you that now. So the 7th lock has an electromagnetic seal on it, and it can't be cut from the wires inside of the building. But apparently, Hans has a plan for this too. So while Hans is in Miss Gennaro's office, she actually comes over, and she only has one request. They got a pregnant lady. They just need a sofa brought to her or whatever like that, and some towels. Now the thing is, Hans don't know who she is, and he doesn't know who's up there messing up his plans either. So finally a dispatch car comes, a dude by the name of Al. He goes to the guy in the front desk. The front desk guy's just telling him random shit. He tells him, yeah, you can go ahead and search around, and he doesn't find nothing. He's about to get back in the car. Now while all this is going on, 2 of the guys end up finding John, but John ends up duffing these niggas. He looks out the window, see the cop car about to dip. He's like, yo, fuck this. He breaks the glass in the window, throws one of the guys on the car. So now Al knows something's going down, and now he can call the rest of his boys. The crazy part was when he was on the rooftop. I don't even know how he escaped all this shit. He was escaping through like the elevator shafts and shit like that, going through the vents. Anyway, it gets to a point where all the police are outside, but they really can't do nothing. And then the head of chief police called dude by the name of Dwayne. And he's so cocky about the situation, he's going by a rule, by a book or whatever. So after the 2 guys that John McClain killed, they had bags too. One of the bags has C4 and detonators in it. This becomes a problem for Hans Gruber. Now, we don't know exactly what the detonators are for, but bottom line is he needs them shits bad. He wants them bad. So Dwayne's thinking to himself, these hostage terrorists haven't made any demands or anything like that, and he's thinking that John McClain might be one of the terrorists, but he don't know what the fuck is going on. So they decide to send SWAT in there to try to rush the doors. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is where the rocket launchers and stuff come into play. SWAT team trying to break through the front door, but they get bum rushed, niggas get duffed. And all of a sudden they break out this RV. Now they're trying to use the RV to ram the front door, but guess what? The criminals send rocket launchers at that shit and blow it the fuck up. So how they calm this situation down? Well, John McClain wraps around this computer or whatever and attaches one of the C4 things to it and tosses it down the elevator, blows shit all the way up on the bottom floor. That calms down the terrorists for the moment. And that also calms down the police. They ain't bum rushing shit no more. So it gets to a point where Ellis has had enough. And his goofy ass is going to try to negotiate with the terrorists. So he goes in there and starts talking one-on-one with Hans, and basically he's just going to give up information about John. So now basically Hans calls on the intercom and he knows who he is. Now Ellis is pretending like he's John McClane's friend and whatnot, and he's going to quote-unquote try to get him down to stop this nonsense. But things go real bad for him and Ellis ends up getting duffed. And then Hans tells John, like, look, eventually I'm going to get to somebody you care about. Now, of course, John tried to save him, but bottom line is he gave himself up. He'd have been dead. Chief Police Dwayne doesn't understand. They make the police feel real incompetent in this movie, right? So at this point, Theo's damn near got 3 out of 6 of the locks done. So now at this point, the FBI is about to take over now because they just came through 2 guys by the name of Agent Johnson and Johnson. So now Hans calls them and he finally makes his demands to the police. He wants them to free like these 10 prisoners all across the world or whatnot. But he don't give a fuck about that. He's just telling them that just to kill time. But he knows the FBI is going to file the book when it comes to stuff. So this is the situation, right? Once Theo unlocks all 6 locks, of course, you got that 7th lock. That's supposed to have this electromagnetic field that they can't cut from inside, right? So this is the plan. They know the FBI is going to do this thing to try to cut the power within like 10 yards or radius or grits or whatever like that. And when they do that, that's going to reset the system. Now the FBI think they're going to be scrambling around stuck like, oh my God, what are we going to do? But Hans knows once they shut down the system, the shield will be off. And they're basically unlocking the 7th lock for them. Shit is nuts. And because they just think they want some prisoners freed, they don't even know the group is going after $640 million that's actually inside the building. So Hans tells his boys to be like, look, y'all go find the detonators. I'm gonna go check on something. So Hans is going up there towards the rooftop, but he ends up meeting John McClain. So he's like, oh shit. So he pretends to have this American accent like, oh, don't kill me, don't kill me. And because they never seen each other before, John doesn't know what Hans really looks like. So he gives him a cigarette, they end up splitting one. And then Hans tells him his name. He says his name is Bill Clay or something like that. But then John sees a bunch of names on the wall. One of them says Clay. So he's trying to put 2 and 2 together, right? So he ends up giving Hans a gun to protect himself. And then Hans turns around like he's about to shoot him. And he's like, yeah, that's me. So now, where are my detonators? So he's about to shoot him and nothing happens. And then John's thinking to himself, oh, you really thought I was going to give you a loaded gun? But then all of a sudden, Hans' boys come up on the floor. We're like, oh shit. So now it's a shootout. John somehow ends up getting away, but his feet are pretty badly damaged. Now, why is his feet messed up? Because he ain't had time to put on boots when the whole place was getting heist. So that's why he's been barefoot the whole time. And the guys that he killed don't exactly wear his size of shoes. So therefore, he's been walking around barefoot the entire time. So basically, somehow, John ended up getting away, but Hans and the rest of them get the detonators back. So now we're thinking to ourselves, what are the detonators for? Well, I'll tell you. Meanwhile, John is thinking to himself, like, something ain't right. He's like, what was Hans doing on the roof anyway? So he goes and checks at certain parts of the roof, and he sees that the whole thing is launched with C4. They're like, oh shit. That's right, that's what the detonators are for. Hans is gonna basically send all the hostages to the roof and they're gonna blow that shit the fuck up. So the plan is when it comes to the police, he wants them to think that everybody died so that way they can get away with the $640 million after they escape. But the thing is, the FBI is gonna pretend that they picked up these people from prison or whatever like that, and they're gonna fly through helicopters and go try to land on the roof. But they don't know Hans is one step above them. So at this point, the only people left alive in the group is Hans, Carl, Theo, and the guy that was working the front door. John went out here murking niggas. So after the 7 lockers unlocked, the vault's open, and they can get all their meat, money, and cheese. As they're doing that, John gets caught near the floor by Carl. We're like, oh shit. Epic beef between them two. Somehow, John is wrapping Carl a chain around his neck and then slinging it over the other side. So you're thinking to yourself like, damn, he's dead as shit, right? Then between all this, a news reporter gets this report. They hear the dispatch call a while ago, and he's trying to cover the news. He finds out John McClain. He ends up going to the house where Holly's kids are, and he gets a scoop and gets them on the news. Holly's looking at the TV screen intently. Hans sees this shit, looks back over. Then he flips over a picture frame that was turned over or whatever like that, and it shows John, Holly, and the 2 kids in it. So he's like, oh shit, I just found my bargaining chip. So he's gonna take her with her, and all the other hostages, they're gonna send off to the roof. Now while all this is happening, John duffs one nigga. Now everybody's at the roof. Now John's going up to the top of the roof, and he's like, yo, he's looking like, yo, where the heck is Holly at? The pregnant lady's like, yeah, they took her, like they on the 30th floor. So that's how he found out where Holly is. So he's trying to get everybody to go back downstairs. Nobody's listening. Then he starts waving the gun, starts shooting in the air, whatever like that. Yo, get back downstairs. Now, around this same time, the FBI agents are in a helicopter, right? They see somebody shooting, and they think it's one of the terrorists. So they end up trying to shoot John McClain. He's got to duck out the way, and they keep trying to spin around, trying to get at him. Meanwhile, the hostages are going back down the stairs. Hans finds out about that shit. He's like, blow the roof. Now, while all this is going on, John was tying himself to a random hose or whatever like that. He jumps off the roof as soon as the roof explodes. The helicopters got caught in the crossfire. They done deal. FBI agents dead as shit. John shoots a window so he could break into it, duffs in there, but then like the fucking hose thing is falling off. He's like, oh shit, it's about to drag me down, but he unties himself and now he's in the room. Now basically at this point, he's about to head to the 30th floor so he get his wife back. Now he checks his gun, he's only got 2 bullets left in it, but he's like, he can't go in there like that. But he still got the machine gun, which obviously had no bullets in it. Now Uruguay has still been sitting out in the garage, right? He sees Theo going back to the big truck and he ends up driving out this small truck. It's like an ambulance truck, and he's dressed up like an ambulance guy, so that way they can be disguised and be able to get away, right? Uruguay gets in a limo and rams that bitch and knocks Theo out. He's done deal finished. So now it's basically Hans and the front door guy just trying to gather up all the money or whatever. Then John gets the drop on him, you know what I'm saying? Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. So they get him to drop the gun, and he's pretty much done deal, right? So remember when I said he had a small pistol with 2 bullets? Turns out he actually taped it to his back. He ends up pulling out the gun, shooting the front door man, and also shooting Hans. Both of them done deal, right? But Hans ends up falling out the window, but he's strapped on to Holly. Now, John is hanging onto Holly. Meanwhile, Hans is over the fucking building or whatever. Hans is about to turn around and shoot John, but he unclicks the bracelet just in time, but you get this slow motion thing where Hans is about to fall off the fucking building. And he's done deal dead as shit. So John at this point, he's been getting help from the dude Al, whatever like that. The guy that has been that was called a dispatch or whatever like that, because he's the only one that really believed him. All these other cops was on some goofy ass shit, especially the the deputy Dwayne or whatever, FBI on some goofy ass shit. So Al's always been at this desk job, and then he tells him the reason why. Apparently Al wanted to be behind the desk because one particular job he accidentally shot this 13-year-old kid, and at that point he never wanted to pick up his gun again. But then I thought to myself, what was he doing regular cop duty? You know what I'm saying? But anyway. So basically, John and Holly finally get downstairs. They meet with Al. They're like, yes. Like, you know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, they hear people screaming. We're like, what the fuck? Carl's still alive. Like, how the hell did he get out the chains? He's about to shoot. Then Al starts popping off on him 4 or 5 times. Gets him done deal, dead as shit. Carl's done. So Chief Dwayne starts talking shit. He's like, yo, we got people gone. We got building damage, destruction of property and whatnot. So I know John thinking to himself like, nigga, we just saved all the fucking hostages. Get the fuck out of here. Then the news reporter comes up to them and is like, oh, how do you feel about this traumatization or whatever like that? So we're thinking to ourselves like, technically he put Holly in danger and John and pretty much everybody else, right? So Holly just hauls off and punches him in his face like, yo, get the fuck out of here. So they get in the car with Uruguay. They end the movie. It's a Merry Christmas for all. There you go. And you already know what time it is. Die Hard is one of the greatest movies of all time, and I just explained to you why. It's a Christmas movie. Now everybody say stuff, it's funny stuff. They be like, bottom line, it's a Christmas movie. When you see like the bonds falling out the sky, whatever like that, people try to portray it as snow. It's like, come on. But all in all, it's a Christmas movie, and all in all, Die Hard's great. There you go. Check it out.